this meeting. I'll call it back to order. We did not adjourn. We have two agenda items. Agenda item number one is a resolution to allow sale of raffle tickets by Onyx and Breezy Foundation in the town of Tuxedo. And the second is about a resolution to approve a grant writing service. I'd ask for comments on those, but I can't imagine there's much. If somebody wants to make a comment as we're addressing this, that's fine. So I'm going to start with agenda item number one, a resolution to allow the sale of raffle tickets by the Onyx and Breezy Foundation in the town of Tuxedo. I'm going to make a motion, ask for a second in just a minute, that the town board of the town of Tuxedo does hereby consent to allow the sale of raffle tickets in the town of Tuxedo by the Onyx and Breezy Foundation during the 2023 calendar year in accordance with section 189 subdivision 13 of general municipal law. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Deidre Murphy. It's open for town board discussion.
Could you remind me what the Onyx and Breezy Foundation is?
It's been going on for years.
Mark Chefs.
The chefs, and it's.
You want to hit your,
Mark Chefs, Onyx and Breezy were his dogs, and they started a foundation for dog, like a dog health rescue foundation. Yeah.
Thank you.
is that for animals here in Tuxedo or?
I'm not sure if it's all over, but he lives in the village.
Okay.
Yeah.
Certainly people who choose to participate, must feel a connection to the cause. And animal lovers, of which I count myself one. Any further town board discussion necessary on this? No? Okay, I'll just, all in favor? Aye. So it's unanimous to approve the sale of those raffle tickets. Agenda item number two, approve grant writing services. I'm going to make a motion, and I'll ask for a second in just a second, that the town board of the town of Tuxedo hereby approve grant writing services from Millennium Strategies up to a cost of, I think it was, so I'll put $4,000. As per the proposal dated, I'm not sure if that's in the packet. Rob, can I have a second on that
I'll
motion?
second that.
Seconded by Deirdre.
I can read it.
Rob, you want to tell us a little bit about this project?
It is about the
Culvert, right?
the culvert on Benjamin Meadow Road that at once we were going to replace through a FEMA grant, but that didn't work out. It kind of went by the wayside. Now we're looking to get a grant through the New York State Culverts, Bridges and Culverts Program. Sean Hoffman recommended this grant writer, said that they have like an 85% success rate with getting grants. I said, well, you know what, it's either we're going to pay for it out of our pocket or it's a good idea to try to get a grant to replace that culvert. So, and that's where that all came about.
So I know you and your team have been maintaining that with great effort.
Well, what's happened was originally there was a 24-inch steel culvert in the bottom, and that collapsed. Then after that collapsed, they put a 4-foot end and a 3-foot steel and then a 4-foot end culvert above that. And then what happens is that's failing also, but the beaver happened to think that's a good place to keep putting a dam. So we're there on a monthly basis at least, trying to get the beavers from knocking Beaver Dam out, because the water comes up to the edge of the road. We knock the Beaver Dam out in a couple, month and a half, sometimes a week and a half. They have it plugged back up, and we have to, so it's a constant battle. With the new culvert slash bridge type design, the beavers are going to have to work a lot harder to dam that up, and it'll, because once it floods and goes over the road, we lose all of Benjamin Meadow Road. There's no access. So that's it, the school buses use it, it's an emergency access road.
This is over by Doris Duke at the
Yeah,
low
I
spot
was-
over there, right?
Yes, yeah. And right past the ski center is the right that goes out to Bramertown and up towards Monroe.
Right.
What's the cost of the project? I mean, we're looking for a grant for what kind?
239,000.
So that seems like a good bet.
It's,
So hopefully the 85% success rate will transfer to Tuxedo
There's money
and
for it.
no,
There's money for it right now.
I'm sorry?
I thought, I read that there was money for this particular kind of project right now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
State's looking
Not,
to do
I'm
it.
sure everybody's trying to get money,
yeah,
but they
but
might
it's
go, hey,
designated as a,
at Tuxedo, they never got money. Let's throw something at them.
yeah.
But I would imagine once we have at least the details of a proposal organized, even if we weren't successful in this, we'd have the narrative that would help us, procure other sources.
Funding,
Yeah.
possibly. We have a detailed proposal, we have a structure, we have all the engineering, all the approvals on both sides, because it's State Park on one side, and State Park on the other. Then there's a underground cable line that's a main transmission line that has to be dealt with also. The road will be shut down for probably a month and a half, so that has to be a summer project from July to the end of August, because the school, it is a school bus route, so, or they have to reroute the buses.
Any further questions from town board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, Marissa. So at the level of $4,000. I'm in receipt of monthly reports from the building department, the justice, and the town clerk. Let me move to the department updates. Marissa, you want to start?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'll start off with, I am in receipt of a letter from the Woodlands HOA President, Fran Liza. She wrote a letter in support of moving the speed limit sign on Long Meadow Road. So I'll pass that on to the town board, but I believe Deirdre is going to go to the county next. So we'll submit that letter along with our documentation. The escrow policy is officially filed with New York State, and it's been added to our town code. Howard, this is for you. I don't know if you need it for your records, but it's officially number 1 of 2023, since they received the paperwork, 2023. And I want to extend a thank you to Tom Riley and the Tuxedo Union Free School District Interact Club. They recently assisted the DEC in refurbishing a sign over by the East River. And something we learned along the way, that the DEC has their own wood shop. So if you see any of their signs, they all have a similar style and look to them. That's because they make them there, paint them. The Interact helped them hang it up. And this one designates along the Ramapo River that it's a public fishing area. So thank you to them. And Orange County Clerk Kelly Eskew published a brochure for a program called Return the Favor, which is a discount program for veterans. And it lists participating merchants where veterans can go and receive discounts. It ranges from auto body shops to eye doctors to restaurants. That's on our website under the Veterans tab. And finally, Town Hall is closed next Monday in observance of President's Day. And for town residents, the garbage pickup schedule will not be affected. So it'll be Monday and Thursday as normal. If you can pass it on to your friends, neighbors, family members. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa.
You're welcome.
Superintendent of Highways.
Well, let's start with the tree trimming, where we have a 99% success rate, but Irene happened to have a shrub that was cut station, entire part of town. We found three major sources of inflow. One is on Mountain Road. One is near the promenade. Is we're gonna, somebody with a little, engineering, background is gonna have to, we're gonna have to deal with that in some fashion, because they have large, like, 8-inch pipe dumping right into our sewer.
Oh, that's an easy one. We just cap it.
Huh?
We cap it.
And what's it back up and, I don't know.
Right,
So
all right.
That's gonna be, we did dye test it, and it did flow all the way to the sewer plant, so that's an issue. And the line that goes into the village is a major source of inflow. So for our sewer problems or our high water flow that's at the sewer plant now, I think can be corrected by those three areas. We've mapped the town, we've made 4 distinct sections of town. Like the part towards the school, the center of town, the park, and the East Village. Have all been numbered, they're all in a different colored section of town on the map. Every manhole was lifted. Everyone was taken, we videoed each one. You can tell which ones have inflow through the manholes. You can tell which ones are dry, which manhole's dry, which manhole has water running through it. So we mapped that, the direction of the flow. We spent a lot, and now we're getting it put onto, probably by tomorrow, Shane will have that finished, and we'll be able to email that to everybody. So we can at least start with some kind of program to line or stop, the inflow of, I guess what would be clean water or rainwater or whatever you want to call it. Stormwater. Thank you, Howard.
You're welcome.
So that's kind of what we've been doing at the moment. And it's taken up a bit of our time, but we should be able to get that, because Sean is working on a price, because we figured we needed about close to 3,500 to 4,000 feet to line, camera and line. So he's working on a price through a contractor. That's a state bid, I believe, contractor, Howard?
It's not a state bid, but it's equivalent to a state bid. It's a bid that was procured by another municipality in Orange County, and under our code and under the general municipal law, that if a local government goes out to bid for a project and in their contract documents, it allows for what's referred to as piggybacking, that another municipality can piggyback onto that contract and use that same contractor at that same price. So that's what we're exploring at this time.
Right. Not saying that's who we're going with, but that's kind of where we're, at least now, getting ideas, getting ballparks, see what we need to maybe slow some of this down and stop some of that flow. And all the rest of the stuff. The way the weather's been, everybody thought they were going to be in parkas and wool hats, and now everybody's working in their gardens, so we'll be putting mulch and compost back over there. We'll be able to do that too. So,
Oh, we'll be skiing in May. I have a,
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
yeah, and that's about what we got going on now.
well, thanks, Rob. I'm going to piggyback with my supervisor's report, first of all, by saying Rob's modestly detailed the scoping activity to identify the suspect areas of where water is leaching into our sewer collection system. I just want to be clear, we're talking about the Hamlet sewer district here. it only affects 216 properties here in the hamlet. So if you live in Laurel Ridge or north or south in Woodlands, this has no direct impact, but people may ask, so why should I be concerned? Well, it's the town of Tuxedo that's responsible for delivering this sewer service, so it's all of our concern. And it's an absolutely essential service to this 216 properties that connect to it. So now we have a Lamborghini treatment plant, literally, the top of the line, $10 million sewer plant, but it's connected to a Model T collection system that hasn't been serviced since Model T days. So that's nothing unique to Tuxedo. This is an issue across the country and certainly throughout the state. I read a report from the DEC on their website about this kind of thing, and it's everywhere. It was the deferred maintenance attitude, kick it down the road. Well, the good news is Rob's efforts and his team will save the town a ton of money because we'll be guiding the contractor to the likely trouble spots. When he talks about 4,000 feet that need to be serviced, well, that's a fraction of what the full system is. So we're trying to identify where the real problems are and fix them. Eventually, we need to have a plan that services the entire system. Again, it's a Model T that needs total revamp. But first thing we need to do is identify the contractor, as Howard was saying, piggyback. We're hoping that would work, but regardless, we have to identify a contractor who's able to take on this work in a timely fashion at a competitive price. So the town board will be considering later this evening identifying the funding that will get that work started. So that's what I've been working, coordinating with Rob, Related, and the contractors that run the sewer plant, our town engineer, Sean Hoffman, to put together a plan that will take action immediately to resolve this issue. So that's the supervisor's report. I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues. I'll go through the standard order of Michelle, Maria, I think, who came on?
Give it to Deidre.
Deidre and Jay. I try to follow who's been on the town board the longest. So Michelle, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Well, you may have seen in the photo news that Sue Haywood received the Orange County Citizen of the Month Award. I was very happy to nominate her for that. Sue, as many know, has worked with St. Mary's Outreach, Sloatsburg Food Pantry. She ran a ESL program at the library, and also did she raised money to send 15 kids to the town summer camp. She helped raise the funds. And she helps AIDS orphans in South Africa, and she is always ready to help people in any emergency situation through St. Mary's Outreach. So you may have seen that in the photo news. We did have a community choice aggregation presentation at the library last week. Thank you very much for attending, those who could make it. And we will have 3 more. One is actually on the 15th at the Village Hall, and that will also be accessible by Zoom. On the 16th, the Climate Smart Task Force is going to be hosting a presentation, and that's only by Zoom. Marissa will send out the Zoom link. It's on the town Zoom. And then on March 4th at the library, we'll have another meeting in person and by Zoom. So this is the bulk buying program of electricity, and we're in the public outreach phase of this program. We haven't committed to anything yet. We'll probably have RFPs go out in the late spring, early summer, and maybe by the end of the summer, we will be in a position to consider a contract.
So Michelle's, the meeting on Saturday, March 4th is at 3 PM at the Tuxedo Library.
Yes.
So Michelle's diligently tried to spread these out at different times of the day. So those of you who are available on a Saturday, I urge you to go and learn more about the Community Choice Aggregation Program.
Thank you. So Rob and I are working on reviving a SAM grant, a state aid to municipality grant for $75,000 that had been awarded to the town by Senator Bonacek. So that was a while ago. And at the time, it was awarded for 2 vehicles, and the process needed to be followed a different way. So we are now going to Senator Skoufis to revive the purpose of the grant to be for hopefully a snowplow and a sander. So we will get that going with Senator Skoufis. And we have the Association of Towns meeting coming up in February. I don't know who else is coming, but I'm going to go there in person. And it's Monday, February 20th and the 21st. And we are sponsoring the meeting, the countywide meeting on the 20th. So is anybody else going? Oh, yeah, that would be great. Okay, I think that's it for
Passing the
me.
baton,
I am, Maria.
Maria.
So 2 things. One of them is, like you said, our recreation coordinator has left to be a graduate student. And so we're in the process of interviewing and just really kind of reimagining a little bit recreation program. And I've had the help of many, including some of the people here who have a lot of expertise in that area. And we're working on it, we promise. The other thing is ARPA. It's the money that we got from the New York State. And this is something that we are talking about being able to use to fix our aching pipes. And so I think we've agreed that, we still have a substantial amount of money, like 237,000 around there. So that'll be a help. That won't have to come out of fund balances or other taxes or other expenditures of the town. So that probably won't be all that we need, but at least it'll be some amount that could be used for that. And that's about it.
Well, that was good. That's it. Introduced a lot of discussion that we'll be having, so thank you for that, Maria, and for your work on trying to revive the recreation department. Now we're down to Deidre. Deidre.
Okay, let's see. So, following up on the Greenway study, which we were awarded $18,000 to do a study on the corridor and the commercial aspects of the corridor to determine what's missing, what can survive, what basically would thrive within the community. We are getting a formal proposal from Nelson Pope, and then we will be posting it for additional quotes for the study, which is a requirement of the size of that grant. So we'll be doing that hopefully in the next week or so. So that'll be complete so we can start the process. I did submit another grant to the Orange County for the tourism grant for $5,000. They have accepted it, so we're now waiting for a response. And again, that was to have an event as a follow-up to the Tuxedo Art and Music programs that we've been working on, and also to put together a catalog, a digital catalog of all the special places in Tuxedo, so we can add that to the Orange County Film and Industry registry that they have in Orange County, so that when people who are film directors or ad agencies are looking for different sites, we will be able to have our town listed along with many other towns within Orange County. The other thing I'm working on is the Burgess study. We did meet with the Department of Transportation about how we can work on making some improvements in the corridor of the hamlet. They did accept our request to have the school district looked at for a school zone, and they have told us they'll probably get an answer to us probably by April. They also gave us ideas on how we can go to the county and the state to find funding so that we can put in or improve sidewalks and other, suggestions that were made in the Burgess study. And they did think that there was an opportunity for us to also get money to get that moving along. So it's a lot more complicated than I thought it was. But we will continue to move along with that. And then finally, I've been working on doing an outline and a budget for last year's camp program and this year's camp program. Last year's camp program cost the town some money, and one of the biggest expenses was because the town school district used to own the buses. Now they no longer own those buses, so we have to source them out. And last year, we had a program that we used the buses. This year, we're looking at ways in which we can use buses, but maybe in a more economical way if we decide to go ahead with a camp program. But the camp program, as it was cost the town very little money, and now it's costing more money. So where were we? And what is the budget now? And how can we adjust to make sure that it's the right thing to do? So we're looking at that. So with that said, that's what I have.
I don't know how I follow that. Ah, sewers. More about sewers. I've been working with Sean. There's a requirement that the town have a sewer law. A sewer law basically is the owner's manual for how you use town sewers, or in case of Tuxedo, where not everybody's on the sewer, the rules for having septic systems and things like that. For reasons that are not clear to anyone, we don't have one of those, which is an issue with the DEC. So we've been that's been percolating, but the current issues with the sewer have made this more urgent, so we're working to finish that up. I expect to have, with Sean and Howard, a draft for the board to consider the second meeting in March. The first meeting in March, I don't think I'm gonna be in town, so we're off till there. One thing I will point out is that, and this came up, there may be a pipe at the hospital property that is dumping stormwater into the sewers. 100 years ago, that was standard practice because, it flushed out the sewers a couple times a year. That was a good thing. Not so much anymore. The new sewer law will specifically forbid connecting new or maintaining old stormwater connections to the sewer system. So if you go down in your basement and your sump pump is dumping into the sewer inlet, it's time to start thinking about fixing that. I'm not looking at you in particular. I don't know where your sump pump goes. But, there'll be a grace period and all the rest of it, but eventually we're gonna have to bring everybody up to modern sewer standards. So you have been warned.
Not necessarily expecting a response detailed, but does this sewer law also anticipate working with companies like Veolia that manages water and sewer, like in Laurel Ridge and Clinton Woods and the Woodlands that has their own package plant? And as you mentioned, all the septics that larger lots are now.
Yes, it will regulate all of that and private sewer systems.
Well, here's
Howard is
Howard.
shaking his head.
Yeah. Howard, it's job security here. Come on, what do you got for
No,
us?
I'm fine with that. It's just that normally the town sewer law doesn't regulate private
Oh,
facilities
okay.
that way. It really typically, and what the EC is concerned about, is regulating the flows that enter the town sewer plant. So
It does do that, but it does, at least the draft that I've seen from Sean has, addresses people who aren't on the town lines. I have to get back into it, but it does, it goes back to DEC, New York DEC rules, because they're the ones who control those things, but we'll get there.
So, quick question. So then, does that mean that the Woodlands has to have their own law?
No,
Or would
because
that be-
they're a private plant.
So the private plants, okay,
So the law addresses the fact that there needs to be a private plant, et cetera.
Okay,
But
okay.
they don't have to have their own rule. They already have their own rules.
they only have their own board, yeah,
Yes.
How
yeah.
about the people who have septic?
Hmm?
What happens to the people who have septic tanks?
They still have septic tanks.
I know, but what does that mean to be regulated, that they have to be inspected or no? Or
They
they're,
have to follow state law.
right,
But
that's what I thought.
But they wouldn't
Okay.
be included in the sewer.
the sewer law says that if you're not hooked up to the public sewers, you have to have an approved private
Site.
system.
Okay,
And it gives some rules for that
So the only public system that the town regulates is the hamlet.
currently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, with, of
Well,
course,
that's
Tuxedo
not-
Farms.
Tuxedo Farms is also, that's.
I actually just said Tuxedo Farms,
Yeah.
but I kind of whispered it. They're not currently feeding anything, but
They will
if
be.
anything,
they're not flush.
they'll have the most, they will have the Lamborghini collection system connected to the Lamborghini waste processing plant.
It's more like a Cadillac than a
All
Lamborghini.
right, a Cadillac, but hey,
Still
it's
a
not
good
a Model
car.
T with a hole in the floor. You finished there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to all board members for that diligent work. We're at the minutes. I know they were circulated. Did anybody have any edits or additions they needed to bring to Marissa's attention? I think that was already. So I'd like to make a motion. Let me find, make sure I'm going to say the proper date. Page 7. What page is that on? Oh, page 7. I'd like to make a motion, ask for a second, to accept the minutes of the regular bi-monthly town board meeting held on January 23rd, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Michelle. I'm going to abstain because I was not at that meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have 4 yeas. Vouchers. I'm going to make a motion, I'll ask for a second, that the following vouchers, having been audited by the town board, are hereby approved for payment. Claim numbers 201-292-1119 through 201-292-1205. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Maria May. Town board discussion, I'd just like to point out that, thanks to Carrie Alley, Carrie's been supplying us with a well-organized table that accounts for any voucher exceeding $5,000. Marissa, I'll ask that in future meetings, we embed this in the packet and in any way we disseminate that information to the public, because it really makes it obvious what the big ticket items are. People would see with expenses like $112,832 in 1 month and go, oh my God, what did they spend my money on? Well, it was the November 2022 and February 2023 paramedic services. That's part of a much larger contract. Another outstanding large expenditure, Nice Ship, which is health insurance for police officers and retirees. That allocation this month is $86,604.94. So if you were to peruse this list, which we will make available, you'd see that the ever-growing expenses of insurance and benefits shouldn't be shocking to anyone that has those kind of things and has to make payments on it. So the total abstract this month was $409,829, and I just pointed out some of the big outliers. So, any further comment from town board members on that? And, thank you, Carrie. You know, you're really doing an amazing job, and I see it every day. And, you're really helping us get our ship in order, so thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to our meetings, and, I joked with Carrie, I said, I think we're gonna have to start charging her rent because she came to the CCA meeting at the library the other night, and, that's a level of dedication that, we all should aspire to, so thank you, Carrie. I'm sorry, any further comments on it? Did I say that? Anybody on the budget? Okay, take a vote. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
Don't forget, we gotta sign them.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Where are we at now?
Other comments?
Public comments? Let me see, let me peruse the audience. Oh, sir, state your name, please.
He's holding the microphone.
Now, the microphone is only so people can hear you at home. It's not amplified, so.
My name is Jerry Matola. I live at 7 Southside Place in Tuxedo, New York. I have two questions.
Well, these are comments, not questions, but go ahead. We'll see what we can do.
Deidre, when you had the New York State people down here, DOT, did
Uh-huh.
you ask them if they were willing to move the blinking light up about 100 feet?
They told us that we'd have to, believe me, they started quoting, like, go to chapter 19, section 5, XYZ, and then you can learn. So we have to go to the Orange County, and we have to make a formal request on those things that, about the light, and adding a light and crosswalks in that area to find out. To be honest with you, at a certain point, I couldn't follow them. They were just, there's so many regulations that you have to like get somebody to like go through the whole thing and tell you which part you can do and which part you can't do. Am I missing anything, Michelle?
No, you're right, and they kept saying chapter 19.
They kept giving us rules and regulations by
Instead of
number.
like helping us figure out how to do it.
That's typical.
Yeah, yeah, so
we have
it
some-
was just go to the next step and find out, get some friendly advice. We have a follow-up meeting with Alan Sorensen to help us go, decipher through some of these things that are
Yeah.
going to help. Because one of the things that did stick out in the conversation was traffic calming. Have you ever heard of that? Apparently, that is something that is a term, and something that probably would help us is how to get traffic to go slower as they go through the hamlet. And that involves many things and many codes, which, to be honest with you, I can't look them up, but there are people who know about it. So that is something we're pursuing. Where can we put lights? How can we do calming of the traffic as it goes through the hamlet?
Yeah, I think we're going to get much further
We'll
when
get
we
much
meet
further
with
than
Alan
that.
Sorensen. He is the head of the Orange County Planning
Yeah.
Department.
We also have citizens in town who are traffic engineers, so we might want to involve some of them, or our consultants,
That would be great.
when we have something that we have
That-
some.
Yeah, that would be great. This is certainly could. use
Point
some
two,
extra-
Jerry?
Michelle, you talked about Sue Haywood.
Yes.
Back in 1997, many years ago, I was the town of Tuxedo 10K race director. And we established the Ned Northrup Award for those doing outstanding community service each year. Obviously that, because it was a 10K function and it's sort of gone by the way, I noticed on the plaque, there's only two names. It's over there with the, so I was wondering if we could set up a committee and honor the outstanding community member of the year and have it here, wherever.
Sounds like
Something to
there's
be-
space to
yeah.
put Sue's name now.
Yeah,
Well, if that's
To
the one
do
you're gonna
something
put,
else.
you know, I'm not.
right. Who was the committee that made that decision or that nomination?
It was 3 people associated with the 10K race, and being the race director, I was involved.
What was the criteria?
Basically, we looked at, because Ned Northrup was basically involved and very community-minded organizer, we had a criteria where we looked at people who did a lot for the town without getting paid. Basic community volunteer stuff. And, you know, we could set up a criteria again, but I'm just wondering.
Sounds like we already have the plaque and the,
Well, whether it's that plaque or different plaque, the short answer is yes.
yeah.
And now all we need is someone to pin the bell on the cat. So if, I'll work with you if you want to sort of dust off whatever the criteria was before, and we can look at forming a committee, and we can look at what the criteria should be moving forward, and let's see what we can do with it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any public comments virtually?
Yes,
Oh, yes. I
somebody's got a hand up.
think that's Evelyn.
Yes, it is. Hi, good evening. This relates to the septic, the conversation with sewers and septics. If you have a septic system, how do we know if it's hooked up to the sewer? Or I don't know. I mean, I was listening to
the sewer.
No, right. So if it's an individual private septic system, we don't have to worry so much about.
Well,
I mean, it's on our
I'd
own to
recommend
get
you
it
get
inspected.
inspected regularly, but.
Right. No, yes.
Not
yeah,
associated
right.
with the issue of the sewer plant.
No. Okay. All right. Okay.
But I know
Okay,
from experience, you need to service them, otherwise you'll have a much bigger problem.
Right. No, yes, I realize. Yeah.
Okay, just trying to be
Okay.
helpful.
Thank you.
Anybody else comments in the audience? Don't feel obligated. All right, thank you. We're going to close the public comments. So we have some other business. Howard, as Maria mentioned earlier, we wanted to consider this evening some type of a resolution that would designate authority to use ARPA money to tackle this Hamlet Sewer District. I don't have a specific price for different things, but we know this is going to be easily capable of utilizing all of the ARPA money. And as you know, Howard, we have some urgency to moving this stuff forward. So I was contemplating a basic blanket acknowledgement from the town board that we can use up to the complete ARPA money for this project, starting with the scoping of the project, and then whatever that leads to mitigation. Of course, all the invoices will be put before the town board, and we'll be tracking it as we go. But it's clear, I think, to everyone on the board that this will easily utilize that funding. So is that an appropriate action to take, or because as we work with these contractors, we need some quick turnaround, and I think bi-weekly town meetings might not cut it. You're muted, I think, Howard.
Yeah, it's what you're talking about is starting a capital project. And
Yes.
you're not talking, I'm thinking aloud here.
Sure.
The project you're talking about at the moment is to spend ARPA money to define the scope of the work that's needed to address the hamlet infiltration and inflow problem,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
All right, so if we limit, because the way you do these things, you first, you have a project, and part of that project plan is a plan of financing. So right now you have a plan of financing and you want to have a project to match it. So that's kind of, it's almost backwards,
Right.
but that's okay because you're in a pinch and you want to do everything at the same time. I get it. So if we define the project as I presume it's going to result in engineering plans of some sort to, and the development of specifications for the rehabilitation of the infrastructure.
Right, the first phase is that we need to do, we've done the open the manholes part of the survey, where defining the areas and done the sort of gross, he said gross, observations of where the largest trouble areas are. The next step is to basically rotor route the lines to get any gross obstructions out of there, and then run cameras up them to examine their condition.
All right, so the
From-
purpose of the rotor routing is really just to facilitate the camera inspection.
Absolutely, you have to clear it so you don't hang the cameras up, because they're expensive.
Okay,
Roots and bricks and debris.
right, okay. So-
The result of that will be an engineering report that identifies the areas that are damaged, deteriorated, or otherwise need to be addressed, to come up with the second phase of the project, which is to actually do those repairs.
Okay, so the first part of this then is you want to authorize the retention of professional services to investigate the pipes and develop a
Mitigation plan.
a mitigation plan. Okay, yes, good. And you're authorizing that project at a cost of not to exceed X dollars. And the plan of financing for that is to use X dollars of ARPA money to fund it.
Okay.
Am I right so far?
Yeah,
You're good?
Okay, and, all right, so this is still a preliminary study. So this is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And so seekers can be addressed by declaring it a type 2 action, identifying the project as we just did, authorizing the plan of financing to be the expenditure of ARPA monies necessary to complete that stage of this work. And then take a vote. And
okay, so,
I mean, I could work with Marissa to clean up that language, but
Right.
that's the essential components of your resolution.
yeah, so the first part, as you just stated, is the retention of professional services to develop a mitigation plan not to exceed X amount of dollars. In working with Sean, and as you know, you've been obviously engaged in this as well, Howard. We're trying to do this piggyback thing, and from what I understand from a conversation with Sean, was trying to first determine if that's a valid pathway forward. But
Okay.
with the urgency of us trying to move this forward, especially with spring rains expected, we're trying to get this So the contractor we're investigating.
You're not ready yet to make a decision tonight on a contractor.
Right, we're not ready to make a decision on a contractor, but we can guesstimate a not to exceed dollar amount, which I would set at about $100,000. That hopefully will be at least 25,000 over, but until they actually get in there, we won't really know. And so I would petition the board to just set that at $100,000. Of course, we're hoping it'll be less, but we don't want anything to delay us being able to take action, because this company wants to be assured that we're not going out and taking out a loan to pay them. They want to be sure that we have the funds to execute a contract.
Yeah, well, the fact that you're using existing funds
Right,
is, that's the proof of that, so.
right. So I'm going to try to phrase a motion that you can fix up with Marissa, but I think it'll capture the bulk of what we were just discussing. Does that sound okay?
You can, or you could just leave it the way we discussed it and let Marissa and I clean it up.
Okay, so the summary would be, I'm making a motion to approve the use of not to exceed $100,000 of ARPA funds to retain professional services to develop a mitigation plan for the collection system in the Hamlet Sewer District. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Jay Reichgott. Town board discussion, with the notion that Howard will clean this up if necessary?
Yeah, the only other thing I would add is, and that it's a type 2 action under the state environmental.
That it's a type 2 action under the seeker's regulations.
And I would offer the amendment, since time is of the essence of this, that the supervisor has the authority to enter into this contract, provided it's vetted by council.
And our engineer, of course.
Yeah, well,
Right.
yes. Without having to come back to the board
Yeah,
at a regular meeting.
exactly.
Yeah.
Move forward.
Any further discussion by the town board?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you can play the tape back, Howard, and clean it up.
Got
if
it.
necessary.
Yep.
And then Ken, this came up in an email, but the village of Tuxedo Park is going through similar exercises with INI.
Right.
And they have a contractor that they've been working with.
Okay.
So if I email.
Plan A
so
fails.
If Plan A fails, or if we need to go to bid, all of a sudden, it'll give us at least a second bid.
Excellent.
We can talk to them, assuming it's not the same company.
I'm sure Sean is aware of that.
I copied him on it.
Okay.
Sean and Joe Zongle, the village's engineer, can do the secret engineer handshake and sort out the details.
Okay. Very good. I don't need to know the secret handshake.
I can't tell it to you.
Okay. You have to kill me.
Oh, why?
Okay, under some other, Howard, I wanted to make a motion to have the town board go into executive session to discuss leases at the highway department site and
Personnel.
personnel.
Okay, that's fine. The first one deals with real estate, which is an appropriate subject of executive session, as is the second.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Michelle Lindsay. All in favor? Aye. I just want to let the public that the town board is going to break off into an executive session. I have no idea how long that's going to last, and we don't really have any other business scheduled at the end of that, so if I were you, I'd go
Right.
watch.
You're welcome to stay or stay
Don't
online.
you want to stay?
If not,
Do you anticipate taking action after your session?
We don't know for sure, Mary. But, to session and do that, and it would be recorded.
right, but we can make sure that you know if we take any action, if you don't want to hang out.
I don't particularly.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yep,